What's up, everybody? Ben Rasa here for Odd Shopper. And one of the most common questions I get is how to bet an individual sport, whether it's the terminology, the bet types, or just the edges to be found, and particularly with the NBA. And that is something we're going to dive into today. So, looking at the NBA, there are a million different types of bets. And here at Odd Shopper, we have broken them down for you in different categories. And it's great, it's simple. But if you're not aware of the terminology, you're just going to be overwhelmed. And that is the question that I think all of us have been looking at when we have these opportunities to make these bets. So, let's dive into some of the terms, some of the opportunities, and more importantly, some of the edges that we can find for betting the NBA. So when you click on the betting resources and you bring up the NBA tab, you are going to find all different types of terms along the left-hand side. As you can see, we pull it up, and the most common is point spreads. And point spreads is basically you've got the two teams, you've got the matchup, and the sports books themselves have lined the games to balance it out. So for example, the Milwaukee Bucks and the Atlanta Hawks, you can see here that all the books have Milwaukee as a 5.5-point favorite. What does that mean? It means that they have to win by more than 5 points. At 6 points, you're going to cash that ticket. If Atlanta wins or Atlanta keeps it very close, they would cash that ticket. Then we move to totals. That's another type of bet where we're concerned about the total amount of points in a game. As you can see, 232.5, 218 in the Blazers Magic game, 207.5 in the Raptors Heat game. This is just, we don't care if one team scores 200 and the other scores 40. We don't care what it is. It's just the total amount of points. So another option you have with betting. Then the third one that I really want to bring up for games is money lines. And this is all we're concerned about is the winner of the game. We don't care about point spreads. We don't care about margin of victory. But as you can see here, the books make you have to lay additional odds if you're picking the team that's the favorite. And we talk about favorites and underdogs in some of our tutorials on these videos. So if you're new to betting, those are the type of terms you can see on this Odd Shopper channel. Check out those VODs as well. But the Milwaukee Bucks here, minus 195. When you see the minus, that's the amount of money you have to bet to win 100. So minus 195, $195 to win 100. On the flip side, the Hawks, plus 175. The plus is the amount you would win for betting $100. So 100 to win 175. So you see these terms and we kind of fill in the blanks. But the other part that we have to do, we actually have to see this, I'm not going to say in the wild, but in actionable real life action. So let's go to DraftKings and let's look at these same games. We talked about that Bucks and Hawks game, and there you have it. Obviously, the numbers are going to match because Odd Shopper is pulling this data, but this is how you would really go about it. You see the Bucks there at minus 5.5. Obviously, the Hawks at plus 5.5. The 232.5 is the total. And then we've got our money lines, minus 195 and 165. The common thread amongst these three types of bets, they're all on the game. They're all on the team. But one of the amazing things about Odd Shopper and one of the great things about betting NBA, you can drill down further and bet on players. And that's in the player prop section of Odd Shopper. You just click the little plus sign and it gives you these new tabs from points, which is pretty simple. You're going to have individual players. How many points are they going to put up in the game? So you've got guys like John Collins. You've got guys like Chris Middleton. You have all sorts of players, Giannis, and they line them appropriately based on, of course, a lot of factors on how often they're going to play, who they're playing. And we just have to predict, okay, John Collins, is he going to have over 16.5 or under 16.5 points? That's all we care about, his actual points in the game. And we can even get more obscure. You have rebounds, you have assists, all the type of statistics in the NBA games, we can actually bet on that. And all we care about, doesn't matter who wins the game, doesn't matter anything except the player we're really betting on in that individual category. But the one bet I really want to talk about here before we go back to DraftKings is points, rebounds, and assists. A lot of times you see it, it's abbreviated. And a very common question is, what exactly does this mean? What type of bet is this? It's very simple when you break it down. It's actually just adding up the three categories. So anytime your guy gets a point, a rebound, or an assist, it's going to count. But naturally, these lines are going to be a little higher because they can contribute in three different areas. So an example here, John Collins, points, rebounds, assists, it's at 26.5. on the industry. When we were looking at points, it was only 16.5. So what they're saying is, okay, in addition to the 16.5 points on average, he's probably going to have around 10 rebounds plus assists. And that's how we're arriving at that number. We don't care about the discrepancy or the distribution. If he has 27 real life points and no rebounds and no assists, that's just as useful as him having 15 points, 15 rebounds, and 10 assists. All of them count equally. And that's the beauty of the points, rebounds, assists. Now, we've seen these, we understand them on OddsShopper, but again, we have to be able to locate them on the book. So we go back to DraftKings. You have your game, you actually click into the game, and it's going to bring up all these different types of bets. You're going to see them along the top, from things like alternate spreads, which all that means is if you have a very strong feeling on the game, you can actually adjust that point spread manually, and you're going to get odds. So if you think Milwaukee wins, say by 15 or more points, that's going to be a huge payoff there. You see minus 14.5 is plus 310. Obviously, that's a lot more drastic than the 5.5 points. That was the even money type bet. But again, when you see player props, all you have to do, you click in that third tab there, and it's going to bring up a lot of the bets that we talked about there. You just go through, you look at the various things, and you can match them up. So these books offer a ton of different opportunities, and that is the importance of OddsShopper. You can sort through quickly. There it is. There's John Collins at 16.5. You can go over there. You can go under there. You can absolutely decide what you want to do. But we've got those projections right in the feed, and it can really help you save some time. So now that we've talked about a couple different types of bets and a couple different options that we have, the one thing that we really need to get into is one of the newer and honestly most exciting things in the betting markets, and it's the same game parlay. So when we look at this, the first thing is the parlay part. We have to understand what that word means. And it's basically adding or syncing up multiple bets into one bet where you have to get them all right or you lose. So you might be thinking, well, why would I want to do that? Well, because if you win that, you're going to get a payoff that's a multiplier. So it's not like an individual bet where you're basically doubling your money. You're picking multiple things, and if you get them all correct, you're going to get a big time payoff. So let's see. So we click into same game parlay. We're going to start Milwaukee Bucks. We like them tonight. Okay. We're going to lay the 4.5 points. So we click that in. That's not a parlay. That's one individual bet. It's known as a straight bet mostly. But we say, you know what? In addition to liking the Milwaukee Bucks, we think that Bobby Portis is going to have a good night. We feel okay about this, and we've got his points right there. So we have options. We can go from 14.5, 15.5. We're going to say, well, okay, let's start with 15.5. That's a pretty conservative number. This feels good. You're going to see right here immediately it now says 2 picks, and it says plus 200. So remembering what we talked about earlier, anytime you see the plus sign, that's the amount you would win on a $100 bet. So for $100, we would win 200. That's plus 200. But you know what? Feeling a little dangerous. Let's keep it going. Let's add a third leg in. And you know what? We have all these tabs along the top. Let's go to assists. Let's see if we can find someone to distribute the ball. So what I like to do is to kind of tell a story in my mind. We have Bobby Portis. He's making all the baskets. Well, who's going to give him the ball? We're going to say maybe it's Chris Middleton. We'll look at Chris Middleton. And again, we've got all these options. We've got an opportunity there. We'll say, let's go 4.5 assists for Chris Middleton. Nothing too crazy. And we're adding to the parlay, plus 280 now. So again, if you want that, if you're content, all you do is just press add to bet slip, the giant green box, formulate your bet right there. For $100, you would win 280. You can be more aggressive. You can add longer shots, and obviously your odds are going to increase. You can be very conservative and make more legs, but your payoff won't be as good. The trick to all of this is value, value, value. You need to make sure that you are getting enough bang for your buck. It's great to have these options for big time payouts, but if you're not getting enough value in the long term, parlays will be very detrimental. But don't think that just because they're a long shot that they're not worth checking out. At OddsShopper, we have things like the Parlay Builder. We have a tutorial on the site with that shows some of the different types of parlays that you can build. And some of them are, in fact, same game parlays. So a very, very Very powerful tool, and one that I really recommend, especially if you're trying to possibly hit something that's a quote unquote big score. You know, the traditional straight bet is going to double your money and win more often. But some of these parlays, if you can find advantageous spots or build a same game parlay, can be very lucrative. And as you can see, some of these odds are north of 10, 12 to 1. For every dollar that you bet, you're going to get a payoff of 10 or $12 in return. So one of the many ways to bet NBA, and something that is definitely not going away across the industry. But I do want to stress again, if you're new to the channel, welcome, welcome, welcome. And stay tuned. We've got a lot of different types of betting things, a lot of tutorials, because the edges are great. But if you're not familiar with the terms, or you're not able to locate them in time, a lot of your edge can disappear very quickly. So here at OddsShopper, we want to save you time, we want to make you money, and most importantly, we want to educate you on the bets that are available. So good luck. Hope to see you in the NBA streets soon, and stay tuned for more videos here with OddsShopper.